Greetings, greetings. This is Body Culinary sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. And this early day, I wanted to come in and just to explore the effects of no oil on our fine hair, right? Or you folks that may have kinky hair or whatever texture hair, you may have very fine hair. My hair is not very dense, not a whole lot of follicles going on here. But if you've been on this channel for any period of time, you know I am into radical self acceptance, really accepting and celebrating, enjoying the features that you popped out onto this 3D plane with. So I am Body Culinary, professional chef, personal trainer, natural born woman. Shout out to whatever your expression is, a lover of a natural lifestyle, or as natural as I can get it in the times that we're living in. So I'm also one of those people that have had a lot of acne and hyperpigmentation. On this channel, I love to share motivation to consume peacefully. I call it peaceful consumption rather than a label. What that looks like for me, and you'll have to find your own sweet spot, is a consumption pattern focused around whole, fresh living, unprocessed fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Basically, food that loves you back, that doesn't leave a whole lot of waste on your waistline, compromise your immune system, offset your goals, eating for vitality, longevity. So those kind of principles really help my food choices fall in line. To me, it's a shortcut. I also love on this channel to encourage you to grow a garden. Whatever kind of space you're in, everybody really can grow something, whether you're in a room, an apartment, a house, a housing complex. At least two things: something beautiful to look at to feast your eyes on green for relaxation purposes, as well as something to eat, even if it's some simple herbs. So the other thing on this channel I love to encourage is to cultivate a movement practice, a personal movement practice, something that can stay with you through life, whether you have an injury, whether you haven't moved your body before. A movement practice is critical. It's one of the biggest tools in my self-care box. It's one of the best things I have ever decided to do for myself as a young woman. And I plan on moving in some form of capacity, even when I am 100 years old and my hair is white. It makes me feel the best, the most empowered inside of my body temple. It's something that is for me. It's something that I have control over, whether I have people to do it with me or not. Support does work. So unapologetically create the support for yourself. So feel free to like, comment. You always can comment respectfully in the comment section. And if you find any value here, feel free to replay this while perhaps you're cutting up vegetables, or you're moving around quietly, cleansing and decluttering your home, or while you are stretching. Create support for yourself. Support works. One of the biggest tools I use in my toolbox. So feel free to subscribe. Greetings, Love One Way. Greetings, Ozazi. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And for those folks that can't get to me, recently I have been traveling a lot, seeing some really beautiful things in nature. And we'll get to that. One of the reasons why I really prioritize freedom here, because the last thing that I am thinking about when it's time to play is my hair and makeup. I can appreciate glam, can appreciate Angela Bassett and folks that are very creative. But if I'm jumping in waterfalls and going on to beaches and caves and stuff like that, I just don't prioritize it. I prioritize play. I'm gonna get sweaty in the garden. Maybe at some point I'll play with that, but I just really don't prioritize it. So I appreciate the positive energy and the compliments and the good energy. However, when I say I have made a decision to prioritize confidence and health over beauty, right? Because beauty, it's determined, the standard, by a lot of fickle people, usually in boardrooms. Quite often they don't look like me, or they don't have my my health, the health of my womb, of my brain, of my offspring, and mine is mostly for profit. So I have decided to prioritize for myself, and you'll find what your sweet spot is: confidence and health over beauty. We're all at our most attractive when we are healthy, in a mood that we have created for ourselves intentionally, with our movement practice, with nurturing ourselves in the garden, with being very particular about what we're allowing into our psyche. So I prioritize, just give you a little context. I unapologetically create my own narrative over here. Work with me here. So confidence and health over beauty, right? And the attractiveness is also an energetic, it's also how we feel about ourselves. Beauty fades. Skin gets wrinkly, even with all the injections. I know folks don't like to think about the side effects of putting all these different things in our body, and I am not one to judge. Right? You got to find your own sweet spot. However, I'm looking for the longevity. I'm very wary of things that uh, are not going to give me more bang for my buck in the long run. And we know that society has a tendency to throw us away after age 35. So if we're not intentionally making deposits into the 401k of our health and vitality, who has in their best interest for you to make those investments? You. So that being said, today I wanted to touch in on the effects of no oil and hair that's very, very fine. And for those folks that may be considering light and fluffy locks. So I've tried all kinds of things. Naturally, at some point, I used to put oil in my hair and I don't. I went back and forth, back and forth. For a long period, I've had no oil. And I wondered, greetings, Sonia. Thank you so much. Right back at you. I often wondered, from the time I was younger, I was like, how come our vanilla counterparts can just get up and go? They used to have these commercials about bouncing and behaving here. I'm going to wash that gray right out of my hair. You see them with the curls and the bouncy hair, and they're walking down the street with their business suit on, their hair is bouncing and behaving. I'm like, how come we can't do that? How come I have to get my ears singed and burned off? How come I have to have scabs, which I did, on my entire scalp? That was very traumatic and painful, from these permanent altering relaxers. Again, I can appreciate a pixie cut, a Halle Berry, all of that. But the pain and the torture, it just doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me. I'm not going to sit there, and I've done it before, and spend hours taking out my hair. And it's too much. I want to go play. I want to go play. So I'm not doing all of that. I want to be free. Actually, Sister Locks. And by the way, do you have your water in the wine glass? Get the hydration on. Take somebody that's had, my skin was looking like the sidewalk. Get you some water. So I wondered, Sister Locks appealed to me. And one of my dear friends, she had the most beautiful Sister Locks, the most lovely aesthetic I have ever seen from day one. So I'm not big on letting everybody put their hands in my hair. I'm very old school when it comes to that. Also, I just can't see myself sitting for hours at the salon. When I used to cut my hair and wear it in a little peach fuzz with designs, I felt stunning. I could always go back to that. But I never felt more free. I just didn't have to do anything to my hair. So quite often I think of it as kind of like hair jail. Like I'm in jail, and it shows up a lot when you're on vacation and you're traveling. You have to have all of these products. I'm just not doing it. I threw out the shower caddy years ago. I have no intention on replacing it. I'm very intentional about releasing things that clutter my mind. It's too much going through the airport. I just want to jump in the water and play and not be concerned about seawater, rain, etc., running, mascara. I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm not going to do it. So it's been wonderful to see what my hair does, and that might be perhaps kind of scary for some of us. I mean, even with my hair joining and not twisting it, I wasn't sure what was going to look like. So, I took the plunge, and I was like, let's just go along for the ride. I've done everything else, the cornrows, double strand twists, braid outs, twist outs before it was a thing. Let's just see. Greetings, Untainted Afro. Let's just see what the hair does. And also keep in mind or be mindful, or there are many styles that I wanted for years. I saved my money for years to get this one style for the master braider. For years, I had to have this style. Shout out to Talani Kennard from the Talani's Wriggle Movement, one of the best master braiders. I don't know if y'all folks know about the master braiders, but it was a whole thing back in the day. The teeniest little tiny cornrows, not tight. I mean, just the cleanliness of their shops. Talani Kennard, and let's see, what does she pass it off to? She trains sisters from New Wave Cultural Creations in Brooklyn. Shout out to them, because it is really something, a cultural treasure. That I'll say for the braids. So I decided not to twist. If you can look and see how fine, these were big fluffy twists. These are Congo natis for me. So when I say I have fine hair, people may think it's not fine. It is, and all of them are extremely flat, right? So I had to come into acceptance, like, this is flat. But guess what? I figured out this is what it does. This is what works for me. So let's go along for the ride. So they're all flat. It's probably about 30 something. I'm not going to get the Valerie June locks. I just don't have that. So I'm in radical self-acceptance, and I've found there are benefits to this. So my hair, this is how teeny tiny the locks were before. And so now there are less of them. They have joined together. Which is great, because more than likely where I used to twist them, I've cut them several times. I can see areas where I used to twist, now that they have fully developed, where there are weak spots, and more than likely over the years I have more breakage. But for the most part, they're healthier when they're joined together. But many of us may be concerned because it's not a whole lot of locks. Now, that being said, also with some of our concerns are with no products, am I going to have the itchy scalp? Now, let me just tell you this, with no oil. With no oil, my scalp has never felt more exquisite, free. Zero. When I tell you zero dandruff, like none, no itching. With the cornrows, somehow with fine hair, with my hair being pulled tight, something about my scalp being exposed with this tight, even if I paid $100 plus to get my hair done, it was always itching profusely. I have found with no oil, my scalp, it has a sheen, but it just doesn't look like our vanilla counterpart's hair. It's just not what it does, right? So it has actually a sheen, which you can see when it's clean, when I just wash it, but light doesn't reflect off of our hair the same way. But my scalp feels like it can breathe, it feels free, and it's not dry. So I don't have to oil my scalp, and I don't have to grease my scalp. Thus, that's the fluffiness of the locks. And you don't have to be concerned when you're exercising, you're sweating, about all the oil and dirt. And if you're out in the garden, eventually the dirt gets plastered and the dust gets plastered into your hair, and eventually it gets heavy. Now, as someone with fine hair, one time I wanted to feel like the hair was heavy because it made me feel like I had weight. I was kind of scared of my own hair and what it would look like. Now it's more freeing, because in the heat, heavy hair kind of feels like an irritation on my neck. So there are several benefits to this light, fluffy hair. So it feeling weightless, particularly as it gets length, our hair does grow. Again, if you have very fine hair, more than likely I won't have any hairline from pulling and manipulation. There will be no hairline left. It's already, very fine. I'm not going to use the gel. There are times I thought about it. I'm just not. Again, I prioritize play. So being a slave to products, it don't feel right to my soul. So I'm not doing it. So I'm just saying is not to demonize whatever your choices are, because I've done all kinds of experimentation when it comes to reshaping my body, when it comes to my food. I've done so many different things to find what I call the sweet spot for me. I just don't have to think about it. So for me, that's why I say confidence and health, physical health, my mental, emotional health over beauty. Having so much stuff to do, I find it kind of stressful. I just want to relax and roll on the floor sometimes. So here are some things that I think perhaps maybe some shortcuts. 7 steps to freedom hair, Afro locks, however you want to call your locks of hair. I'm calling it Afro locks over here because this is a distinct genetic marker, and I am unapologetically celebrating it. So one is to if you're interested in experimenting, right, with this Afro flower hair challenge, one is to shampoo your hair and to shampoo all of the shea butters and the oils and stuff out of it, right? So distinction between dry and brittle, and dry and it's just not wet. My hair is like soft. Um, it's like soft carpet. It actually feels quite excellent. And so likely you will retrain your eyes and your hands to what our hair actually feels like. This is a whole nother level, I think, from just having braid outs and an afro or TWA. It's like, what would the hair do if you just left it on? You didn't even have to twist it. You may decide where you want your part to fall, if it's here or there, so the hair can just lay. If your hair is shorter, and I may start documenting this, if your hair is shorter, and you're concerned, and I don't think there's an ugly phase per se. And it's like I'm just real picky about the words that the spells that I'm casting on myself. If perhaps your hair is shorter, you can just take it, decide whatever size you want, and just roll it. So you have like a cute. It looks stunning, and your hair will hold the curls more because it doesn't have the oil in it. So it'll be nice and spongy and will hold the curls. So these are benefits to having light, fluffy locks. So one, to shampoo and detox your hair. There's only one shampoo that, and I even tried one time the Tutti Frutti shampoos, and that's a big distinction. I would say no. It feels night and day to use a quality shampoo, and your shampoo will last a lot because I put in products. So I did take a picture of that shampoo, and it's rare that I will find it in my area. So I took a picture of it and I put it inside the community section. You'll have to scroll back. And that company, I wish it was chocolate owned. If I can find Afro flower with that quality, Afronomics, here we go. So if I can find that quality, if I had the time, I might even try to experiment and make my own. But I will say that's the one shampoo I have found. The smell is exquisite. It is clear. It doesn't have parabens, all this other stuff in it. And my hair doesn't feel stripped. There's a distinct feeling to the hair. Even the look of it, if you don't have oil, it can start to look very stripped down when you're washing it. So that's the one shampoo, and maybe there's two. There's a citrus and a rose that smell exquisite. It's light, big difference. So shampoo and detoxing your hair. I'm not really with the cider vinegar rinses on a regular. I don't need to. So again, it's my principle. You don't have to work like a demon to get all the junk off your body if you just stop putting it in, if you stop the madness. You don't have to work like a demon to constantly expose already fine, delicate hair to cider vinegar and baking soda if we just stop putting the stuff in. Now, initially, you may want to do cider vinegar or baking soda. I think it's kind of harsh for very fine hair, but the shampoo might be enough. It depends. I don't know how much stuff is trapped inside of your hair. So shampoo slash detox it, maybe a couple of times, and then just shampoo. That's it. I'm not using anything else. And even the shampoo, I don't need to use often. I use nopales from the garden. Sometimes aloe. Actually, I've fallen more in love with the nopales, and tea, nettles, and I'm loving jasmine. Tea. I believe I made another video. I'm using jasmine tea, which smells exquisite, and I like it. It's less expensive, and I like it more than the rose water. So shampoo on your hair instead. That's one. Number two, instead of oil, I'm using the jasmine tea, or one of the teas, in a spray bottle, which I put inside of the refrigerator, and it feels really refreshing on the hair. The next step is, I really don't care to sleep with things on my hair. However, I will say I see a big distinct difference in covering my hair, and being I get claustrophobic with too much stuff on me. It feels constricting, that I just created some really lovely satin squares. So now I don't have to put anything. It's also great for your skin too. So I've created these lovely little satin squares in lieu of a pillowcase, and I just put them over, where my head lays when I'm sleeping. So it feels very, very different. Like, I don't know, I don't want to say condition, almost like conditioned or something. The texture feels really nice when I either cover my hair with something silky in the garden, or I lay that over my pillow. Um, Now that's it for maintenance. That's it. I have one little piece of sticking out here. Sometimes if I have an extra piece, I may stick it in, but I'm not twisting. I'm not putting any products, none. That's with the light and fluffiness. Now, the other thing in terms of the scalp, and these are things that I would say in my journey, these are regular practices. Spirituality for me is very practical. So self-care for me, the garden, preparing my food are spiritual practices in my little world. So eat real food. I invite you. I don't like to tell grown folks what to do. Eat real food. If it is not real, and I used to be a junk food junkie, there's a pattern, a lifestyle patterns of obesity in my family. It is not passing my lips. It is not passing my lips. If it doesn't have a peel on it, if I cannot recognize it, this has been for years before this whole thing that's going on right now. I'm not putting it in. What has helped me is somebody that was addicted to garbage and junk and had a lot of acne and could very easily be diabetic, as is the pattern in my family. What helped me get clear was constantly working with different types of clients. In a holistic health center for many years, with all the different things they were coming in with when the doctors couldn't help them anymore. That's when folks were looking for juicing and healthy eating and so on, as well as working as a trainer with many high-end clients for many years that have everything. But usually the area folks had to manage is their health. So I've been also, I'm not big on pain, and things could still happen. However, I've made a choice to be 110% responsible for my health. For any of the younger women out there, I invite you, in particular, if you would like to be a parent one day, not to wait till like, 6 months before you decide that you want to be a parent to get healthy. It doesn't work like that, right? And maybe we don't consider um, our cells and our DNA and the information that we're passing down to the next generation. I ain't telling y'all what to do. I'm just going to drop a little nugget. Take it and run with it if you like. But if we think about the amounts of autism and ADHD and just the quality of human beings that we're putting out there, if we're not exercising or finding a movement practice on a regular basis to have offspring that have a strong brain physically and that have quality arteries and a quality heart, if we're not exercising our hearts, how can we expect to have healthy offspring, let alone pass on and model healthy behaviors that are not a big deal? It's like, this is what my parents always did. They always exercised and took care of themselves, right? And you want to enjoy your children. You may just be a community mama or community auntie, but what are we modeling? I get the makeup, and this is for me sometimes why I sit and contemplate. Again, are we using, and only in your quiet moments by yourself, are we perhaps sometimes using the accessories or the painting of our faces and the squishing of our bodies into these different spanks? Are we using it to cover up a lack of health? I'm not telling y'all folks what to do. These are quiet contemplations. Are we using it to overcompensate for not having a movement practice and carrying unhealthy weight, right? Extra adipose tissue, which is really just a symptom of us not metabolizing our foods, not eating quality foods, or not eating foods in portions that are appropriate. See, all of that, I'm not saying a label, and I'm not saying diet. So perhaps, little nugget, if we could find principles to guide us, it would help our food choices fall in line in a very natural, relaxed, sane way. So, the other thing, eat real food was the next step. exercising or engaging a movement practice. I like to call it vigorous, joyous movement, for blood flow, for really efficient elimination, as well as for renewed energy. Some folks like to wait for motivation, and I can tell you, someone that's been in the fitness industry, competed, done all different types of things, as well as working with many clients, the motivation and the literal physical energy is generated from the movement practice. Quite often you're waiting till after, well, you're waiting for some outside motivation. You can literally generate energy and dopamine and feel good hormones and chemicals inside your own body temple with your movement practice. Many of us may be intimidated or put off by the feelings of discomfort that come from being deconditioned. There is a video on this channel that talks about and explores what it feels like to be deconditioned, right? And we also want to be very, very safe so we can move longer. So check that video out, on this channel. So your movement practice or your vigorous joyous movement, aka exercise, I'd like you to think of, we want healthy, pretty skin, and the scalp is up here, and the blood flow and nutrition has to come to the scalp. The blood is flowing somewhere else. Exercise, right? If your body's very stagnant because we're sitting down, then how can we expect all that good, delicious, organic, or healthy food to get to the scalp? We got to move, right? Also, the movement is shaking off all of that stinking thinking, all that funky negative energy. So exercise for your blood flow, for elimination. If you're taking in all these meals, but you're not eliminating anything, and all the non-foods and recreational foods, and what I like to call substances masquerading as food, they're not exiting your body, how can we expect vitality? That does not make any sense. Y'all know that doesn't make any, not one lick of sense. So your movement practice, and then yeah, that's it. Last tip is I invite you to consider, and I think we'll move on to forward today with that. I invite you to consider in contemplation, right? So we have meditation, aka relaxation, slowing down and breathing and being present. And then we have contemplation. Contemplation, and you've seen some other videos on this channel around relaxation, is asking a question of your own onboard divine intelligence, needing no middleman, no middlewoman. You quietly ask a question, ideally when it's quiet, when you don't have a whole lot of noise and radio stations and screen stations giving you programming, messages, instructions to your brain and your subconscious. You ask a question and you quietly wait for the answer. The answer may not come during your meditation / relaxation session. It may come to you as you're preparing your food for the day, or as you're moving about in your garden or caring for your plants or in your movement practice. So the early bird gets the prize. It's one of the reasons why I love the hours of the early day. So today's contemplation, and keep in mind, this is one intentional contemplation or question. You can also use contemplation for anything that you're working on or working through, a decision that you're trying to make, or perhaps even if there's a question around, if you have a fixation around food, or something that you're going, you can ask a question of why or how do I proceed, and quietly wait for the answer from your own intelligence to bubble up to the surface. It's actually quite practical. So today's contemplation is health and confidence. What does health and confidence, what does that look like over beauty? Right? Over beauty, in the context that I'm saying beauty in, is somebody else's standard for fashion week. What palettes are in season right now? Let's say without any of that other stuff. What does confidence, what does it look like? What does it feel like? How does it show up in your actions and activities? Confidence and health over beauty. So take a sip of water in a wine glass. And you're welcome to find a comfortable space on the floor. If you have issues with your back, you're welcome to sit upright in a chair so you can tilt your pelvis and your spine can be very straight. You can roll your shoulders around down and back so that you have a lot of space between your shoulders and your ears, because sometimes we'll hike up like this. So I will roll my shoulders around, down, and back in a slight retraction. If you see my clavicle here, back this way. And if you're doing a lot of computer neck, just to pull your chin, which is this is your cervical spine, in so that you have some alignment. Gently draw your belly button in towards your spine, which really helps to not pinch your lower back. If you're like from the car to the bar and you're looking cute with your Gucci bag, you're more than likely are pinching your spine. So if you could just tuck your pelvis under and draw your belly button into your spine, that can help to line up and provide some support for your lower back, because that's part of the job of these abdominal muscles, to support your innards and your organs. So you're welcome to take a comfortable space, and we're just going to simply do some deep breathing. There are different ways to practice relaxation and breathing. One of the methods that I really enjoy is through the nose, in and out through the nose. Out through the mouth is not wrong. However, it's something very distinct that I have found in my yoga practice. And different things from your different practices. Find what works for you, that you notice some distinctions in how they make you feel, and you're welcome to carry them throughout your day. That's your developing your sweet spot. So breathing in and out through the nose, and actually kind of loud and pronounced, kind of like if you think of Darth Vader, or if you're putting your ear, as my dad used to say, to a seashell to hear the ocean. It can really help you to be very present in your body temple, in this human suit, in this car that you are driving around. And it can really, as a practice over time, help you start to make the distinction between the movie screen of thoughts constantly going in your mind, and the different images and instructions coming at you from all over the place to trigger you to buy and spend. And what does your own divine essence, what kind of intelligence, what is it communicating to you? You can start to make the distinction as you become more relaxed and cultivate quiet. I would even say over time you can cultivate a craving for quiet. So if you can find a comfortable position, if your legs and your knees are all the way up here because you're tight, you can sit on one or two yoga blocks that will help your legs open out a little bit wider, in addition to helping you keep your spine straight. If you want to sit next to a wall, you can do that to give you a little bit of support too. And the purpose for that is so that you're not distracted by discomfort in the body, right? Because your mind is already jumping all over the place. So if your nose is itching and your back is hurting and your hips are hurting, it can be a distraction from relaxation. So that being said, our intentional relaxation, or our contemplation question, something to contemplate, is: what does health and confidence over beauty, what does that look like? What does that feel like? How would that show up in my life? And so we're just going to do some breathing, and then you can go about your day. Okay, here we go. So you are invited just to do a check-in with your own body temple, to notice how your shoulders feel, how your back feels. Notice if you feel more relaxed, your body temperature. You're invited to consider how you feel with more quiet. With more quiet. You're also invited to feed yourself the most beautiful, colorful, water-rich fuel, optimal fuel that is available to you today. And I invite you to create a great day on purpose, just because you said so. So keep in mind with your practice, you don't need to keep your eyes closed. It can be eyes closed, eyes open, just like with seeing what your hair can do. Notice when it comes to relaxation, which people call meditation, the simpler we make it, the better. So all of these different judgments that are coming up, just simple practices. Actually, this is something we have access to. We can grow something, a flower. You would be amazed. I can go on for days about the practice, the spiritual, the very practical practice of growing and nurturing something, right? It translates over into your mental state and your relaxation, just caring for a few plants. And even if you feel like the plants don't survive or you don't have a green thumb, it's not failure. We're so scared of failure. Failure, it's only feedback. So you can see where you need to readjust and to go at it again. See what your hair wants to do. See how your body feels, right? Without all the labels. Is your body telling you it has a lot of undigested meals in it? Are you eating and soothing yourself with substances masquerading as food when really you're tired, or you're irritated or angry, and so we're trying to soothe emotions with food? I don't know what you think, but you're there in your quiet moments by yourself. So do feel free. Um, if you can't get to me, there is a guide that I have put together with all the questions that I thought that people might ask me about food or what I've been doing over the years. And that is Whole Living Foods in the Hood, Part 1, with menus to fit your budget. And that's not so much recipes. That is literally, you'll see pictures of what I've been eating, different budgets, whatever. If you're a young person, if you're shopping in bulk for a family, and if you're buying all of this fresh food, sometimes people may not be aware of all the different creative things you can do with it. So I give you an idea of the different things you can prepare with whole, fresh, living foods, right? It's not a diet. Your body responds. Your body's telling you a story about what you're eating. So if you want to see pictures and all my tips for what I've been doing, that guide is available to you. And then also, sometimes people will come on and recommend a bunch of products, and I'm not into products. I got rid of them for a purpose. And so I am the person to put a lot of what I'm eating primarily into my body is what I'm putting onto my skin. If I cannot eat it or ingest it, I don't put it on my skin. And I do put food. Yes, I put food on my face and my hair and my skin. Teas, herbs, citrus. So that you can even see before my hair locked, because I didn't intend for it to lock. That is in Natural Beauty, no products, only food. And if there's anyone out there that is really struggling with acne, I know that was really very painful and embarrassing for me. I cleared it up with food, not with products, not even products from the health food store. So I made a decision to take on being 110% responsible for my health. That doesn't mean that things can't happen. However, when I know I'm doing everything possible to take care of myself, that's the best I can do. So as my grandma Lou would say, do your best and wash your hands, right? So we don't have to be so preoccupied with food. If you're eating real food, the body responds totally different to something that's been sitting on a shelf for years, to food with enzymes and living water. I like to mention living water a lot. The body is very intelligent, it knows what to do, and it knows how to adjust itself to a healthy weight. So the body's communicating with us about the quality or the lack of quality and the amounts that we're putting into the body temple. So those things are available for you on body-culinary.com. You're welcome to come and move with me in the early mornings. I know at some point we'll be in daylight savings time, but you're welcome to come and move with me in 40 minutes in a hit it and quit it flower fit workout in the early mornings. And you get welcome to fill out an application if we're a good fit to come into a coaching practice with me. And again, what I'm about, I'm not going to do something I'm not about. So I'm not for everyone, but I'm really simple about fruits and vegetables, a movement practice, and peaceful consumption. That's what I got for you. So if you have any questions, feel free to communicate with me on body-culinary.com. The Goddess Cakes, that workshop is available on body-culinary.com. So you can have some treats to look forward to. It's unprocessed, no natural, unnatural sweetness. Everything is just from whole, fresh living fruits and vegetables. And actually, if you look at Instagram, check out Body Culinary on Instagram, Kwasa with a K, peaceful, Kwasa peaceful, like full belly, eating on TikTok. So there I share some of where I've been traveling recently, some of the foods I'm preparing, and when I'm in the garden, and so on. So all that little tidbits, that stuff is there for you. So I invite you all to create a great day, and I will see y'all soon. Let's see, how do we do this?